Good evening, folks. We are back from a almost 3-day trip. What do we know? Weather's a little better here. Parking is tight. All right. What did we learn on this last trip? I'm a little bit tired of New York. I just did the math. I've gone there every month now for the last 4 consecutive months. I've never said that about any place, I don't think. Not even some of my more popular destinations have I been with that frequency. It's kind of wild. I'm way out of the boonies in this lot. Getting around that city is expensive or troublesome. I had some experiences on the subway that were less than ideal. Came across a strange man. He comes out of the elevator into the station, and I'm standing. So my strategy, as I've said, to avoid getting pushed onto the tracks, I stand in the center of the platform, preferably up against a hard surface like a column or wall. Where am I going? There's nobody here. Is there? Hi there. Hi there. Reserve. I sure did, under LUCE. You as well. Thank you now.
Thank you.
So I'm standing next to this elevator. The elevator comes up to the platform so that people with strollers or mobility issues can access the platform, right? Well, this person comes out, did not have a stroller or mobility issue, but as I eventually notice, he is pointing his finger at me as if to say, move. So I do. And apparently he's reading some sort of sign next to the door. Alright, so anyways, I end up on the same train car as this guy, and red flags start going off. He comes in and he throws his little tote bag onto a seat and keeps walking to the back of the car. And the people next to the tote bag are looking up like, what the heck is going on here? This is not the way things are done. You don't use a seat for a bag, you use a seat for yourself and hold the bag or whatever. So he goes to the back, and I can tell he's bugging people. This younger woman, she immediately stands behind me. She's like, the next stop can't come quick enough. I'm getting out of here. And I'm fine. I'm ready for ball. All right. He wants to play some games. He's not coming to her. That's for sure. So, you know, I'm praying for the next stop to get here. You know, just like, come on, let's just get out of here. He starts making his way back towards me, and I am making my nonverbals as clear as I can that we're not going to have any nonsense. And, you know, there's nothing good that comes out of these subway altercations. Usually the person doing the right thing is the one who goes to jail. So it's a lose-lose situation. The best thing you can do is just get out of there. The next stop comes. He's approached me with the doors open, and I get out. And not a word was spoken. Church bells were broken, what have you. And I walk up to the next car, and it's Wall Street people or something. It was a night and day difference. It was fine. So I finished the ride, and what got interesting though, because the stop I was supposed to get off, it wasn't stopping there. I was supposed to get off at 53rd Street. And this train skipped 53rd Street, went to 59th Street, and then it said after that it was going express all the way to Harlem, if I read it right. So I kind of panicked, like I gotta get off at this thing before it takes me express to Harlem. So you gotta watch out. These signage, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I'm really doing my best with trying to understand. You know, it'll say, take the R train. Well, the R and the W run together, but do they run together for the stops that I need? And people are telling me, like, just get on this one. They think I'm a tourist or something. Like, it's the same train, you know, and I'm like, I know it's the same train, but it's a different letter. If you see letters together, such as R and W, they will run together on the same line for a little bit, but eventually will split off. And if you don't know exactly where that is, you don't know that they're going to be the right, you don't know that each one's interchangeable. But that doesn't necessarily mean that an R and a W are going to be labeled correctly and separately. You don't know that. I stood there for 15 minutes while different trains came through that were not the exact one I was supposed to get on. So, you know, I increased my use of the MTA app a little bit. It did not provide me with any more specific, you know, they don't tell you that you can take multiple different trains on the same line. They just say, take this one letter train. And if you don't take that one letter train, are you gambling with your future? Or if I do take it, sometimes it's not taking me to the stop I wanted. So it's annoying. I took it several times, going places. And today it was particularly, I found myself in another weird position on a train. There's a young girl clearly from Central America or something, speaking only Spanish, trying to sell candy to people on the train. This is a terrible idea. Why? Because nobody's pulling out a wad of cash on a train. You want to buy something for $1 from this person, you're going to pull your wallet out in a train? It's not going to happen. So she's selling nothing. She's in the station, on the platform, saying chicletas chocolates, which I believe means candy and chocolate. And she just keeps saying it, coming up to everyone, making eye contact. And whatever. That's fine. Where it gets weird is when these three people, so I'm on this train. On this train, and then I'm one stop away from where I need to go, and these three people come on. One of them has dreadlocks, one of them has a guitar, one of them I wouldn't have thought anything special, but suddenly they break out into a Bob Marley routine. And while live music is fine and good, it's a little confining to do it in a train car. So they're standing right in front of me in the aisle, jamming out to some song by Bob Marley. I forget it already. Probably One Love, I think it was. No, it wasn't that. It was a very famous Bob Marley song. Anything about the government, so it probably wasn't One Love. It wasn't Let's Get Together and Feel Alright. That was not the song. It was something else. It wasn't Buffalo Soldier. It was something. Anyways, so she's singing right next to me. The guy right in front of her's got the guitar, and the guy in front of him, he's doing like slam poetry solos or something. And Then the Chicleta girl comes up to the other side of me, and she wants to get through the concert to keep offering her chicletas to the people on the train. And so now I'm surrounded on both sides by people who are trying to get money. They even have a QR code to pay the guitar through your phone. You know, why can't we just stand in the platform or the station with the other retailers and things? Is that against the rules? It shouldn't. You should be able to open your guitar case and collect some cash on a station. That's almost probably a nice thing to see, is add a little music to the train station or something. But in a train car, not my preference. And then to be surrounded by the candy girl and it just made me take stock of my life at that moment in time and say, was this really worth saving $25 or whatever? I don't know, man. I think I might have paid $25 not to deal with that stuff. I think I might have. But if you added it all up, it would have been a lot of money. So, whatever. Like I say, getting around, it's a challenge. The Uber I took was $80. It's just a rough, expensive place to be a part of things. Not rough, but I'm just overloaded. I'm sensory overloaded from all of the basket of weird that I have been subjected to for the last 3 days. A basket of weird is the best way to put it. I mean, I saw nuns riding a bike with their helmets on over their habits. I've never seen. So they're going down the bike path like banshees with the habits flying behind them. And I'm just like, what? I walked by a school of trapeze, every kind of running club concept you can think of. People were in, just basket of weird. I don't know how else to put it. It's a melting pot. It's good exposure. Alright, I don't like this arrangement very much. Time to put some pedal down here. Feels so much later. Had no alcohol today. Just tired. So you're just overloaded, Men carrying hat boxes. I mean, how often do you see a grown man traveling with a hat box? And it's not a cowboy hat box. It's like, Orthodox hats. They probably have a word for it. It's just different. Just stuff I've never seen before. I have seen the fleet of buses with Hebrew writing on the side. That's not new to me. I mean, there's just a lot of cultural things. I saw a guy who boarded in the A group as B4 and tried to tell the A42 lady to move. She didn't move, and he'd be like, I'm right. And he just got to board as in the A group. I mean, they were just like, whatever. If this is the state of affairs, why have any rules? I mean, it was clearly a lot of people who are confused. They don't know the language, things of that sort. Don't know Southwest Airlines. Interesting. I was proud of myself though, because I had free drinks on 2 of my flights. Unlimited alcohol, free alcohol. And I didn't have any. And I didn't think that was even in me to turn that down and give that up. But I did. I didn't feel it. I didn't want it. I didn't have it. That was a good ferry from Hoboken, New Jersey to Battery Park City. And I did the research I needed to get from. It turns out where I was going was just a hop, 2 blocks from a ferry station. I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna be taking the ferry. $7.50. It was just a direct shot right across the river from New Jersey. If I had taken a train, it would have taken me, I don't know, multiple times longer to make that trip. If I had taken a car, also much longer. The traffic doesn't back up until you get, you have to come into the island of Manhattan on a bridge or something. You're going to have congestion around the tunnel or the bridge or whatever it is you're using to get there. You only have so many entry points, right? So if you're going to a precise location, you're going to have to deal with all of that, either northbound or southbound or whatever traffic to get to your individualized location. But if you can find a boat that'll take you right there, because it was on the coast of the river, so it's much easier to just take the river. It was a little bit choppy, all the things you would expect from a boat ride, and heated cabin and warm and all that. So yeah, I recommend the what was it called? New York Waterway Ferry Service. I downloaded their app, bought the ticket using the website, and then I used the credential from the website to log into the app. If I hadn't done that, I couldn't have found the ticket, because the email said, here's your ticket, but then it said in the email, this email is not redeemable for a ticket. So I'm like, what's the point of this email then? If I can't use it as a ticket, where's the ticket? It wasn't attached, it wasn't embedded. So I go to the app, it shows the ticket. I go to click on it and, add it to your wallet or something. Don't do that. Because as soon as you click it, you have 30 minutes to use it, and then it's gone. So they will give you a warning. Are you sure you want to do this? Back out of that. Don't proceed until you're actually at the dock platform. Another tip I found was, it's easy to want to crowd the ramp where the boat connects. People were doing that. I realized pretty quickly as I watched this boat bouncing around in the water, driving towards me, and I'm like, this isn't a smart idea. So I took my bags and I backed up a few feet to the actual footbridge area, which is still slightly unstable, but it's not designed to move around and attach to the ferry. So I did that, and I had a much less rocky experience than the people who stayed down on the ramp. It wasn't a big crowd of people. There's no reason to rush. There was one other person with me on the boat, and it had an upstairs platform. I kind of wanted to go upstairs and look around at the open air view, but you couldn't actually access it from the inner compartment, the inner cabin. You had to access it only from the outside. And then they sealed the doors, so I couldn't really go back outside. And I had luggage, so it's like, all right, I'm not gonna try to get a free, tourist experience here. So I just looked out the greasy windows at the views, and kind of went by the Statue of Liberty, and that was pretty cool. And ferry service, worth a try. I'm told that the New Jersey Transit similar system with tickets where you don't want to activate the ticket until you're actually going to use it. It's something to keep in mind. The other thing about the subway is if you're going to ride it 11 times, 11 one-way trips, it's cheaper to maybe 12 one-way trips per person. It's cheaper to buy a weekly pass because then it's unlimited use for that week. I think it's $35 or something for 1 week. Then, you know, if I was having to be there for a little bit longer, it might have made sense. I screwed up because someone gave me a Metro card that had 4 rides on it, and I think I scanned it 4 times on accident and lost the other rides. I only got 1 ride out of it. Meanwhile, the girl next to me squatted down and went under the turnstile, which is not exactly a motivating moment in the history of moments. But, as it is. We are back. It is a festive time here, coming into the Super Bowl. The airport had all sorts of decorations for the Chiefs, for Valentine's Day, and all sorts of things. It's just seemed like a festive time. Everybody in the airport headed to Kansas City, saw a lot of Chiefs gear, and even the crew that dropped us off said good luck in the Super Bowl before we landed the plane. So it's just kind of fun. It'll be over pretty quickly since it's a week from this weekend. It's coming up quick. And yeah, things are just busy. This is a very busy month for May. A lot of balls in the air. And I don't love that, but I also don't not love it. You know, it's good to be busy and accomplishing things and getting things out of life, if you will, a little bit. I'm hot now all the time. It's 35 degrees this morning. I walked with just a long sleeve shirt on and a vest. Everybody's going around in a coat. I'm thinking, who needs a coat? I mean, I'm burning up. Not burning up, but not. I did take a long walk today. It was early for my appointment. I didn't know what else to do, so I walked about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, maybe closer to 45 minutes towards my appointment. And if I walked the entire way, I would have had about 20 minutes to spare. But it was going to be a long walk, 8th Avenue, from, you know, really, Battery Park City to 57th Street is not a short walk. It's just not. And finally, I think I threw in the towel somewhere, and I jumped on a train. Took it the rest of the way, and that's the one that I missed my stop, or my stop didn't exist. But I ended up getting off at 59th Street and 8th Avenue, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, this is actually a much better stop, I think, than 53rd Street or whatever it was that I was going to get off. So somehow it worked out better. Then the question was, what do I do when I'm early for an appointment? It's 10 o'clock in the morning or 10:15 in the morning, and there are no restaurants open, you know, coffee shops maybe, but I didn't really see anything to do. But most of the buildings there have breezeways breezeways that connect like 8th Avenue and 7th Avenue or something. And these breezeways are open to the public for certain hours of the day, including the hour I was there. So I walk into this very swanky hotel, that has a couple of chairs right inside the door. Nice designer chairs. Then there's another door that goes into what looked like, a coffee shop and the lobby and all this. And you can keep walking through the public breezeway. And I'm thinking, I don't need to go in there. I'll just hang out right here. Nobody needs to bring me. I don't drink coffee, so I had nothing to do. So I sit there, and I just play on my phone. Nobody else is sitting there. Well, actually, a bum came and sat next to me. He goes, man, I'm hot. I'm beat. And I thought, you know what, man, I'm beat too, because I just walked a mile in the cold, and I am somewhere. So this must be how the bumps feel. I mean, you're moving all the time. You're burning calories. Anyways, he saw that I wasn't going to be engaging, so he got up and scuffled away. And I just sat in my fancy chair, in the breezeway, and saw some interesting people come through. They were not taking advantage of the public access, that's for sure. They were going into the hotel, going out of the hotel. They were fancy travelers, I'll put it that way. This stretch of 57th Street had a Hilton Club. It had it's got several very nice hotels right there. And so it was a pretty good spot to camp out. I just played on my phone, and next thing I knew, it was 8 minutes before my appointment. And the elevator is long, so I get outside and I can see the awning of my building, so perfect. And I knew the elevator takes a while, but I was up there 3 minutes late. So actually I was early, but made it mine, and so that was that. And then when I got done, there was a coal-fired pizza restaurant across the street that had my attention. It was a yacht rating, and something told me it was going to be all right. And here's how you know it's going to be all right. I get there, it just opened minutes before I got there. They weren't ready for me or anything. But this guy comes in and he goes, "May I get an original pie, pepperoni to go, please?" And he's chatting with some other guys in the restaurant, and they say, "Do you want plates with that?" He goes, "No way. I'm eating this whole thing right out of the box. It's amazing." He was telling the other people, and I just kind of grinned because I'm like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes you just got the right kind of thing going on, So I order the original pie with sausage. I was going to do peppers too, but each topping was like $4. It was like a $30 experience just for the food. They didn't have Dr. Pepper or anything, so I didn't get a drink. And here's these curves again. So hard to see. So I get this pizza. It's covered. The cheese is fantastic. The tomatoes are just right. The sausage is so good. When pieces fall onto the table, I'm picking them up and eating them. Like, I'm not letting this go to waste. It was called a small pie, but it wasn't small. I ate most of it. I could have actually gotten a large and been fine, because what happened is the crust got blackened in a lot of places, so I found the blackened portions to be too bitter for my my taste. Sometimes the black part's okay to eat, but this is coal-fired black, and maybe it's coal. I don't know, but it was not edible. So there was a decent stack of crust that I couldn't eat. Didn't eat. I went through every slice, and filled me up just about right there. And that was my lunch and dinner, I suppose. So yeah, that was lunch. It was great. Angelo's Pizza, 57th Street. So then I went back to my place, collected my bag, and went to the airport. I had 2 hours to kill, but I just didn't feel it today. I didn't have the mojo to tear up a town or explore or much. It was just kind of, if I was Taylor Swift with my jet, I would have gotten home, and the minute my appointment was over, I would have been up in the air, or at least headed towards the plane to go up in the air. When you are on a $58 Southwest flight, you wait for that flight, because that's a good price. I looked at my flight out to New Jersey was like $400. My flight home was $58. That's a deal. Was it my cheapest? No. My cheapest airfare I've ever had was, I believe it was $19 on Frontier Airlines to go to Denver. And they had a special anniversary pricing one-time thing, and I had an office in Denver, and I thought, you know what, for $19 I'll just go out for the day and do a couple things and goof off and come back the same day. I didn't even spend the night. I just said, you know, for $50 total or whatever after fees, let's make use. I negotiated an interesting office deal in Denver at that time, where basically I only had to pay $100 a month to this law firm, and they let me use their address and stuff on court pleadings. And if they received any mail, they would scan it and send it to me. And I could also reserve their conference room subject to availability. You know, if I became a bit of a burden, then they would increase the lease rate and so on. And it was a great deal. I mean, they made money. I had, you know, the illusion of a Denver presence that I could exploit if I wished. I had 303 fax line that was through eFax, so it was all online, digital. And then I had a 303 phone number through, I don't remember how that worked. Maybe I used the phone number to that law firm. I don't recall. But yeah, it was kind of a neat deal. And so yeah, that was, what's funny about Frontier Airlines, at least at that time, was the $19 airfare did not cover a carry-on bag. The carry-on bag fee was going to be more than your ticket. But I could take a personal item. They're not liberal with personal item either. It's got to be a small thing, one thing. So I had the briefcase, same briefcase I use now. It's got a little bit of a open area pocket in the middle, in between the laptop sleeve and the front pockets for pens and stuff. So I think I put a pair of underwear and socks, maybe a undershirt, probably not, in the briefcase, maybe a toothbrush or something, right? And just took that as my. So maybe I did spend the night. I think I spent the night. I don't know where I spent the night, but I do remember one time taking the underwear with me because I was spending the night and then coming back in. That's interesting. A lot of things I've done. I was in Denver, Brimfield maybe, Centennial. I was in Centennial the day that Ferguson, Missouri was rioting. I remember watching it on TV. I went to St. Louis all the time back then. And to see Ferguson and all that imploding, I thought, man, I'm glad I'm not there and part of all that. But I think I was scheduled to be back there soon. A lot of memories, big memories of Colorado and St. Louis. Now I've upped my game a little bit. I travel on a national basis. I guess my next question is, how do I travel internationally for my job? I interviewed at a company once that was owned by a Finnish concern in Finland. They were going to be sending me to Finland on a regular basis. That's not quite what I'm looking for. I'm more interested in I'm not more interested in anything. I suppose I'm at the right level of interest. But if there was a job that existed that had an international component, that could be interesting for me, at least a change of pace. But not solve my family woes of me being gone. In fact, I'd be gone for more days at a time, most likely. So if you're taking a trip abroad, flight, you might as well be staying there for a few days. Otherwise, what's the point of going? So be careful what you wish for, I guess. We are just about there. I did not even consider taking my alternative route tonight. Excuse me. Alright. Whichever car I drive tomorrow, I'm gonna have to put gas in it. Most likely. Bit of a bummer. But it is a new month, right? Tomorrow is so I can close the budget on January. What a hole that was, golly. Planes, trains, automobiles, and boats. I took them all. I think if there was anything else I took that was different. Planes, trains, automobiles, a boat. Say that, I mean, what else even is there? A spaceship? Take a spaceship. Now I'm being reminded of this airline I used to frequent called, what was it called? Gulfport or something like this. So there used to be this airline that ran Cessna aircrafts, and it was a big losing venture, but they were trying to do their thing, and they flew to Memphis, several cities in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, but also a couple of places in Kansas where I was working. They you flew to Cape Girardeau, St. Louis. They had, and the tickets were cheap. They were $50. You got to fly out of the private plane terminal, which I thought was cool at the time. The parking was free at that time. You could just go park your car. Didn't pay a dime because you're on New Mexico City Avenue. This is the place where the people who own planes go. Would you want to pay to park? Were you on a plane in a hangar? I don't think so. So I'd go up there and I'd park my big old truck for the night or two, whatever. And then I'd hop on this tiny plane. But of course, by federal law, you have to have 2 pilots in a commercial airliner. So there were these, young, probably low in their class pilots who were not being paid well. They weren't well groomed. They looked like they just crawled out of bed. And they're crammed up in the front of this Cessna. It's a single engine aircraft, but it holds about 8 or 9 people. And usually I'm the only person on this plane. There are more crew than there are passengers. It's bizarre. And of course the whole thing went belly up after a while. They never caught up holding because it just didn't make sense to most people. But I'm not most people. And my business interests were not like most people. So I could fly to Salina, Kansas, or Liberal, Kansas. Go to these small airports where they had Hertz rental cars, pick up a rental car, and guess what? I just knocked 3 hours off my trip. I'm not as tired, and I can stay in a hotel or whatever, and it was cheaper than the gas, or even paying the mileage to drive, right? If you paid me mileage to drive 6-7 hours, that's several $100s. If you have a rental car and a plane ticket and the rental car fuel, suddenly we've cut off time, we've cut off expense. Very few people does that end up making sense for, but it made sense to me a few times. And yeah, sometimes I miss that airline. I was going to take it to Cape Girardeau once for a conference, and ended up not going. I was sick or something, and so I never got to take it to Cape Girardeau. But it was kind of neat to have a plane to take you into these places. And let me tell you, the security line at those little airports was fantastic. You were not waiting